Integration allows for the LRT to become part of the street. It provides for high-quality, high-capacity access to new and redeveloping areas. It can become part of the fabric of a neighborhood by bringing people through areas that they would not otherwise travel through. It also provides convenient connections for area residents to other parts of the city. The system envisioned for West and Southeast Edmonton is not a new concept. It exists in dozens of major cities in North America and in Europe. It exists in mild climates and those that experience snow and cold weather. In fact, the picture there in the top right-hand corner was from Portland, where they received 9 centimeters of snow. The airport closed, the LRT stayed open. LRT can become a tool to shape the sustainable city, a city where one not need own a car, a tool to focus on moving people as opposed to moving cards.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. Mayor, transit, in this case LRT, provides convenient access or a bridge between destinations, some currently being regional in nature and some not. Over time, this convenient access not only connects destinations, it also encourages new growth that supports transit-oriented development and regional development in some locations. Thus, LRT has the ability to transform and shape a city. So what are the elements that create a foundation for transit-oriented development and regional destination? Well, they include a mix of policies and regulation to guide its location and its form, appropriate market conditions to support its growth, and an infrastructure that attracts ridership but at the same time integrates well with its surroundings. And then what are the actions that are needed to support this development? They include the application and the sustained support for a policy base, which is, in this case includes the TMP, the MDP, the city strategic vision, to also encourage growth in priority areas to establish and support a critical mass of development, and careful consideration of other transportation investments and land use decisions that support the plan. The Integrated Transit Land Use Framework will be familiar to some members of Council because we presented it to Executive Committee last week. The success of LRT in attracting ridership and supporting future growth is dependent on its placement relative to a number of complementary land uses. Communities along routes and the public at large will want to understand the nature and form of development that LRT and other high-frequency transit may bring. Other critical elements for integrating transit and land use include land use and its character, how it's specifically developed, mobility and access, parks and civic infrastructure, and economic development. Addressing these elements will require a multi-departmental approach. Not every LRT station will be the same. They won't all look like Century Park. Rather, they will be designed to suit their surroundings. Some will be more intense relative to employment, housing, and populations than others. We expect a mix of station types, including a mixed-use town center station, an employment center station, and a residential center station. So then what are these types? The mixed-use town center station is one that will naturally have a mix of uses and development densities where the individual character of that station will be built up over time and somewhat unique to its own location. A few will evolve to become regional destinations. The employment center station, and there are several areas along the existing and proposed transit alignments that will have this employment focus. These are expected in areas that will have a mix of uses, and however their predominant activity will be employment-based. Residential center stations, much of the development along the existing proposed transit routes is in fact predominantly residential in nature, and these residential station areas are not anticipated to become as intense as the other two station types depicted on this slide. So examples of successful TODs in other Canadian cities include the Bridges development in Calgary, which is centered around the Bridgeland Memorial LRT station near downtown and is based on a pedestrian-friendly village, urban village rather. And then the Brentwoods Town Center in the northwest portion of Burnaby, which is intended to accommodate high-density residential and commercial development and is supported by a variety of amenities, including connections to two SkyTrain stations.
Thank you, Peter. Just to start out, in terms of the development of LRT, we have 4 major phases. Each phase is completed. The level of detail increases. Commitment to a project typically happens at the end of preliminary engineering, and to
side to the existing plans that we have. Southeast and west are at the conceptual level, and Mead is at the more detailed level. Just re-establishing the purpose statement for the west and the southeast, it's to provide an LRT connection from Lewis Estates to downtown in the case of the west, and Millwoods to downtown in the case of the southeast. In doing that, we want to be consistent with the city's strategic direction, the Transportation Master Plan, and the Municipal Development Plan, and we want to connect future and existing activity centers. We also want to use LRT as a tool for more than moving people. We wanted to use it as a tool for creating a more compact urban form. Developing the recommended route is not just the technical analysis. Two other major inputs that we have are feedback from the public or the input from the public and the direction from the overall LRT network plan that Brian alluded to earlier. In terms of the technical side and the process that we use, there's three phases. There's developing the project purpose and the guiding principles behind the project. There's the level 1 conceptual evaluation, or what we refer to as our level 1 screening fatal flaw exercise, and the level 2 detailed evaluation. And that detailed evaluation is what Bob had presented earlier in terms of the 6 criteria we use to refine the routes down to a preferred corridor, language promoting compact urban form, the movement of people and respecting the movement of goods, feasibility and constructability, and that's not really the line as feasible or constructible, but the degree of that. Respecting the Parks, River Valley, and Ravine system, respecting the social environment, and measuring the impact and respecting the natural environment. There are a number of sub-criteria that feed into these categories, and they can cover a significant amount of detail when it comes to each specific category. All of these elements define how the route responds to a particular category. So all these elements feed into how it performs and a route performs in its response to a specific category or criteria that we're evaluating. Starting with the west and the assessment of the west, we started with our framework here in terms of getting from Lewis Estates to downtown, and we looked at a number of different corridors. We then ran that through our level 1 screening and refined it down to some core routes through the public engagement process and some additional refinement. We got it down to the routes that we carried through that level 2 or that corridor screening analysis, and as a result, the recommended corridor we refer to as the Stony Plain Road corridor. Starting west of Anthony Henry Drive at the Lewis Estates Park and Ride facility, traversing along 87th Avenue, approaching 159th Street and turning north onto 156th Street, north on 156th Street, approaching Stony Plain Road and turning east on Stony Plain Road, into downtown via 104th Avenue. And for the purposes of our study, we suggested a termination point for comparative analysis at Grant McEwen. Stations and the exact number and location are conceptual at this point, and they will be defined as more detailed engineering, planning, and consultation occurs. So getting into some of the reasons or the specific criteria for Stony Plain Road, it is very responsive to the land use promoting compact urban form criteria. Provides many opportunities for revitalization along the corridor on 87th Avenue, 104th Avenue, and Stony Plain Road, recognizing the Jasper Place Revitalization Plan. And it provides a balanced service to both established neighborhoods and commercial areas and respects the mature neighborhoods that we're going through. Regarding movement of people and respecting the goods movement, it is supportive of that LRT network plan for an urban-style LRT system. It provides good connections to the downtown and Grant McEwen. It has good ridership opening, long-term ridership, 48 to 49,000, opening being of the 35,000 range. Travel time is approximately 22 to 24 minutes, and there are roadway impacts, but we feel they're mitigatable due to the robust transportation network that is offered in the area. Provides a tremendous opportunity to not only capture peak ridership, but off-peak ridership, and enhances the existing transit spine that is Stony Plain Road. In terms of feasibility and constructability, this is a challenging corridor. Capital costs are in the $1.1 to $1.2 billion range. The right-of-way constraints are prevalent along Stony Plain Road, 156th Street, and it's something that is a challenge. there are a few structures in consideration of other routes, and